Welcome to Pages to Prosperity. We're switching things up today. Instead of summarizing a book, we're diving into 10 harsh truths people in their 40s say they wish they knew earlier. These are insights pulled from personal experiences, top self-help books, and lessons people all over the world have shared. Some of these might hit hard, but they're here to inspire growth and reflection. So let's begin. Did you know that the average life expectancy worldwide is about 72 years? That means if you're 40, you've lived more than half your life. Here's a question to ponder. What are the harsh truths you wish someone told you before you hit this milestone? Today, I'm sharing 10 life-changing insights that can help you navigate the rest of your journey with purpose and clarity. 1. Your time is your most precious asset. You can always make more money, but you can't make more time. People regret wasting years on things they thought mattered but didn't. Take Sarah, for example. Every morning, Sarah rushed out of the house, leaving her 7-year-old son, Ethan, with a quick kiss on the forehead. Her demanding job consumed her days, promising promotions and pay raises that never seemed enough. "I'll make it up to you someday," she'd tell Ethan as she missed yet another soccer game or bedtime story. One evening, she came home to find Ethan asleep on the couch, clutching a crumpled drawing. It was a picture of him standing alone on a soccer field, a small caption in wobbly handwriting. "I miss you, Mom." Tears welled up as Sarah realized the years she had lost chasing a future she thought would matter. Her son wasn't waiting for a bigger house or fancier toys. He just wanted her time. The next day, Sarah resigned from her job. She scaled back her lifestyle, learned to live with less, and gained something priceless in return. Moments with Ethan she could never buy back. Years later, as Ethan hugged her before leaving for college, he whispered, "Thanks for being there, Mom." In that moment, Sarah knew, time spent with the ones you love is worth more than anything money can buy. 2. Health is wealth. At 40, your body starts sending reminders: sleepless nights, aches, and slower recovery. Ignore your health, and you'll spend your later years paying for it. Emma was 42 when her life turned upside down. A successful entrepreneur, she had built her dream business through sleepless nights, skipped meals, and endless coffee. She always told herself, "I'll rest when I'm successful." One evening, after an exhausting meeting, Emma collapsed on her office floor. Waking up in a hospital, she was greeted by the concerned face of Dr. Carter. "Emma," he said gently, "you've been running on fumes. Your body's screaming for help: high blood pressure, fatigue, and pre-diabetes. You need to make changes, or you won't be around to enjoy your success." Those words hit harder than any business setback. Emma thought of her family, the vacations she kept postponing, and the life she was too busy to live. She realized she had been chasing a version of success that wasn't sustainable. Over the next months, Emma made small, consistent changes: daily walks, healthier meals, and proper sleep. She rediscovered energy she hadn't felt in years. Brian Tracy was right, she reflected one morning. Without your health, nothing else matters. Emma's business thrived, but more importantly, so did she. For the first time, she understood that true wealth begins with taking care of yourself. 3. Not everyone will like you, and that's okay. Trying to please everyone is a recipe for misery. Learn to value the opinions of a few trusted people instead of seeking approval from everyone. James spent years bending over backward to please his family. Every holiday, he'd drive hours to attend gatherings, even when he felt unwelcome. His cousin would make snide remarks about his career, and his aunt always criticized his life choices. James smiled through it all, hoping that one day they'd see his worth. One Thanksgiving, he hit his breaking point. After an exhausting week at work, he sat in traffic for hours, only to be greeted with the same passive-aggressive jabs. That night, driving home alone, James asked himself, "Why am I doing this?" The answer hit hard. He was trying to win approval from people who'd never truly see him for who he was. The next year, James didn't go. Instead, he spent the holidays with his wife and a close friend who always encouraged him. He finally felt at peace. His family wasn't happy, but James realized something profound. It wasn't his job to make everyone like him. Years later, he said it was the most liberating decision of his life. "I stopped seeking validation from people who didn't value me, and for the first time, I started valuing myself. 4. Failure is inevitable and necessary. Every successful person has a string of failures behind them. Embrace failure as a teacher, not a roadblock. As a child, Mia dreamed of becoming a pianist. At her first competition, she froze mid-performance, her fingers trembling over the keys. The judges looked on in silence, and tears blurred her vision as she left the stage. She heard whispers in the hallway. Maybe she's not cut out for this. For weeks, Mia refused to touch the piano, but her grandmother, a retired musician, sat her down and said, "Do you know how many times I've missed notes in concerts? More than I can count." Failure doesn't mean you're not good enough. It means you're learning. With trembling hands, Mia returned to her piano, this time not for perfection, but for the love of music. She practiced for months and failed again. Her next competition wasn't a win either, but she noticed something. Each performance was stronger than the last. Years later, Mia stood on stage holding a trophy, tears in her eyes, not because she won, but because she didn't give up. Failure had taught her resilience, discipline, and humility. As Zig Ziglar once said, failure is an event, not a person. Mia's failures were stepping stones, not walls, and they led her to her dream. 5. Your circle shrinks. And that's a good thing. As you grow older, you'll realize that quality beats quantity when it comes to friendships. True friends stick around, while others naturally fade. On her 50th birthday, Sarah sat alone on her porch, scrolling through her phone. The contact list was long, dozens of names, but her heart felt hollow. Where were they now, those friends she once couldn't imagine living without? Her mind wandered to her younger days, college parties, endless group chats, wedding celebrations. But over time, some friends moved away, others drifted apart, and a few revealed themselves during life's tougher moments. Just then, her doorbell rang. It was Sophie holding a small cake in a bouquet of sunflowers. "Thought you might need company," Sophie said with a warm smile. Sophie wasn't flashy or loud, but she'd been there, through Sarah's divorce, her mother's passing, and the late-night phone calls when Sarah couldn't sleep. As they sat sharing cake and stories, Sarah realized something profound. It wasn't about the number of people in her life, but the depth of connection with those who stayed. Her circle had shrunk, yes, but what remained was solid, unwavering, and real. For the first time in years, Sarah felt full, not of names, but of love. Sometimes losing the excess reveals the gold that was there all along. 6. Happiness isn't a destination. It's a choice. Waiting for someday to be happy? You'll wait forever. Happiness is a mindset, not a milestone. Marie had always been chasing someday. Someday, when she got the promotion, she'd be happy. Someday, when she moved into her dream house, she'd feel complete. Someday, when she found the perfect partner, life would finally make sense. But that someday always seemed just out of reach. One crisp autumn afternoon, as Marie walked through the park, she saw a little boy laughing uncontrollably as he chased a red balloon. His shoes were muddy, his jacket too big, but his joy was boundless. Curious, Marie approached his mother, who sat nearby. "He seems so happy," Marie remarked. The woman smiled softly. "He has cancer. We don't know how much time he has left, but we choose to make today beautiful." The words hit Marie like a bolt. Tears welled in her eyes as she realized she had spent years postponing joy for a future that wasn't guaranteed. That day, Marie chose to stop waiting. She canceled her next big meeting, called an old friend, and spent the evening dancing in her living room. Happiness, she realized, wasn't a milestone. It was a choice she could make, right here, right now. 7. Let go of resentments. Carrying grudges is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to suffer. Forgive, not for their sake, but for your own peace. Lisa hadn't spoken to her sister Emma in over 10 years. A single argument over a family heirloom had spiraled into years of silence. Each holiday and birthday, a painful reminder of what they'd lost. One evening, Lisa came across an old photo of them as kids, arms around each other, faces lit with joy. The memory pierced her heart, but the bitterness lingered. She hurt me, Lisa thought, clutching the photo tightly. Weeks later, Lisa received a call. Emma was in the hospital. Without hesitation, she rushed over. Seeing Emma frail and vulnerable, the resentment she had clung to so fiercely melted away. "I'm sorry," Lisa whispered, tears streaming down her face. Emma's eyes filled with tears as she squeezed Lisa's hand. "I've missed you so much." In that moment, Lisa realized the grudge had only imprisoned her own heart. Forgiving Emma didn't erase the pain of the past, but it freed her to love again. As Lisa left the hospital that night, she felt a lightness she hadn't known in years. Forgiveness wasn't just for Emma, it was a gift Lisa gave herself. 8. Learn to say no. Your time and energy are limited. Saying no is one of the most powerful tools for protecting your priorities. Emily was the kind of person everyone turned to. Her co-workers, friends, even acquaintances. Need help moving? She'd show up with boxes. Struggling with a project? She'd pull an all-nighter for someone else's deadline. One evening, as she sat at her kitchen table surrounded by her daughter's untouched science fair project and her own unfinished work, her phone buzzed. It was Sarah, a friend she hadn't spoken to in months. "Can you help me set up for my party tomorrow? I'm swamped." Every fiber of Emily's being wanted to say yes, but she glanced at her daughter, sitting alone in the next room. She imagined the look in her eyes if Emily said, "Not now, sweetheart. Mommy's busy again." For the first time, she took a deep breath and replied, "I'm sorry, Sarah. I can't." That night, Emily and her daughter laughed until their sides ached. Glue and glitter everywhere. It wasn't easy at first, but Emily realized that saying no didn't make her unkind. It gave her back to the people who mattered most. She learned that protecting her time wasn't selfish, it was love. 9. Invest in yourself. Whether it's learning new skills, improving your mental health, or pursuing passions, self-investment always pays dividends. Susan had always put others first. At 38, she was a mother of 2 and a dedicated wife. But somewhere along the way, she had lost herself. Her days were spent running errands, solving problems, and ensuring everyone else's happiness. One evening, as she tucked her daughter into bed, the little girl asked, "Mommy, what did you want to be when you grew up?" The question hit her like a wave. Susan had always dreamed of painting. Her brushes and easel had been tucked away for years, gathering dust in the attic. The next morning, she pulled them out. The strokes felt awkward at first, her colors clumsy, but she kept going. Day by day, the canvas transformed, and so did she. Soon, painting became her sanctuary. She enrolled in an art class, met others who shared her passion, and even sold her first piece at a local gallery. Her children noticed the change. Mom smiled more, laughed louder, and seemed lighter. "Why are you so happy, Mommy?" her son asked one day. Susan smiled, tears in her eyes. "Because I finally remembered to take care of me too." Investing in herself didn't just change her life, it gave her family a better version of her. 10. Life goes by faster than you think. One day you'll wake up and wonder, where did all the time go? Live intentionally. Every moment matters. Michelle stood in the attic, sifting through dusty boxes. Her fingers brushed against an old photo album, and she hesitated before opening it. The first page revealed her younger self, beaming on her wedding day. She flipped through pictures of birthdays, vacations, and milestones, moments she had lived but barely remembered now. Sadness overcame her as she found a photo of her son's kindergarten graduation. She remembered how she had rushed from work that day, still answering emails in the back row. "I'll have more time later," she had told herself, but later never came. Now her son was grown, with a family of his own. The house was quiet, filled only with echoes of laughter from a life that felt like yesterday. Michelle whispered, "Where did it all go?" That night she made a promise. No more, later. She called her son to plan a visit, wrote a letter to an old friend, and sat on the porch to watch the sunset for the first time in years. Time may have slipped by, but Michelle realized it wasn't too late to make the moments she had left truly count. After all, life wasn't measured by years, it was measured by presence. So, let's recap. Value your time, take care of your health, embrace failure, and cherish your relationships. Learn to say no, let go of resentments, and most importantly, live intentionally. Life isn't about perfection, It's about progress. What are the biggest lessons you've learned so far? Share your insights in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. If you're hungry for more personal growth, check out our other videos. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring content. Here's a final thought for the road. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. And as always, see you next time.